Hello, I'm Dr. Heidi, and welcome to week 23 of the 1,000-Word Challenge. Last week, I showed you two old games, backgammon and chess. This week, I'll show you two relatively new games, Monopoly and Scrabble. Coming up. The next two games I want to show you are both American games, and when I was doing research for this video, I learned something. Both of these games were invented in the 1930s, and the 30s was a really bad time in the United States. We were in a depression, people didn't have jobs, they didn't have food, and when you think about it, it kind of makes sense because the whole idea of games is they're called a diversion. They make you think about something else. They divert your attention from your problems, so it makes sense that some good games came out of that otherwise very bad time period. So this is Monopoly. It's kind of a classic American game. The word classic means something that has been around for a long time but is still very popular. Here you take playing pieces. So these pieces are kind of funny. There's a shoe, and there's a horse, an iron, a dog, a thimble, a car, a hat. I love these funny pieces. Let me zoom in on that. Monopoly is nice because you don't just need two people to play. You can play with your whole family or invite your friends. Okay, now we're ready to play. Everybody's got their Monopoly money, $1,500, which is exciting. Monopoly money it's kind of even a phrase in English. When you say you have Monopoly money, it's like you have a lot of money, but it might not really be worth that much. We talked about games of chance and games of skill. Monopoly is really a game of chance. There's not a lot of skill. The strategy for Monopoly is to buy everything you can, but you don't really have a choice of what you can buy because you have to land on it. So Victor is the hat. He goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He's not in jail, he's just visiting. And then I'll let little Heidi go. In games, usually the turn goes clockwise. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the railroad. So she can buy the railroad by paying $200. And now she has the deed to the railroad. And this is the main idea of Monopoly. Is you try to accumulate property, and then when other people, so if I were to roll a 5 and I land on Reading Railroad here, now I have to pay her rent of $25. So it's basically a capitalist system. You get as much property as you can, and then when you have enough property, you can start building houses on the property and even hotels. So if you have enough houses and hotels on the property, it will cost a lot more money when the person lands on there. So the goal of the game is to get all the money for yourself and to bankrupt everybody else. If you're bankrupt, it means you don't have any money left. It's a brutal game. Play with your children. It will be fun. The other thing is you can land on like community chest here, and then you draw a card, and you might get something like this get out of jail free card. And this is another thing from Monopoly that has kind of moved into the language and popular culture. People will use the phrase get out of jail free card to mean something that will keep them out of trouble. So so that's Monopoly. It's a fun game, not a lot of skill, and you get to play with Monopoly money, which makes you feel rich even if you're not really rich. The last game I want to show you is Victor's favorite type of game. This is a word game called Scrabble, and here is the Scrabble board. And again, this was invented in the 30s by a man who liked games, and he thought that word games would be more fun but if they had a score. And he's right about that. I think everybody loves playing a game that lets them have a high score and competing with their friends. So each player has a rack, and they get 7 letters chosen randomly. So the goal of this game is to earn points by making words out of your letter tiles, and each letter is worth a different number of points depending on how common it is. So a common letter like S and O are only worth 1 point, but an uncommon letter like H and C are worth more points. And when you play your word on the board, you can actually increase your points by going, like on the pink squares, you get a double word score, so twice as much. Here you get a double letter score, so the letter here is worth twice as much. So let's look at this, and this is a really good game. I'm going to say, what do I see here? Well, there's shoe, or, oh, look, S-C-H-O-O-L, school. That's a great word. So I'm going to play school. I'll put one of my letters here. H, O, O, L. Okay, I have to play, the first time you have to play on the star, but I'm going to scoot this over because the C is worth 3, so I'm going to put that on the double letter score. I get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. But then I get double because it's on pink, so 24. So that was a great first turn. So if we were playing for real instead of for pretend, I would write down my score now. After I play, we go around the table, again clockwise, so it would be Victor's turn. And he needs to spell a word that uses some of the letters in my word. So we've got, well, I see A-R-E, that's a good pattern. There's an S, but look, I can use this H, S-H-A-R-E. Sure, and he got it on another double word score. Good for you, Victor. Yay! So he's going to get double points for that word. So Scrabble is a lot of fun. It is entirely, well, it's not entirely a game of skill because there is a randomness. You don't know what letters you're going to get. But people who play Scrabble a lot know a lot of tricks, like they know how to use like all the short 2-letter words to get extra points. And this is the type of game that will really improve your vocabulary because it forces you to think about not just the words you know, but the patterns inside words. Like if I see an E in my rack, I will immediately try to find a word that has a silent E, like share. So it's good practice for building your vocabulary and just thinking about how words are formed. So Scrabble is another fun game I highly recommend. This week's video's a little long, so I'm just going to put the words and definitions up on the course website. I'll put the link in the description below. Well, I hope you found these games interesting, and I hope maybe this video inspired you to play some games with your friends, especially word games like Scrabble. Do you have a favorite game you like to play? Tell me about it in the comments section. Be sure to visit our course website to study the text from this week's lesson. Download Vocab Victor to practice your vocabulary every day, and come back next week for 20 more words. Thank you.